Hey, it's Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. Good morning. This is a great little Saturday morning to just take a second and talk about some awesome nerdy board game review, which today we'll be talking about Seven Wonders. Behind me is the classic arcade in your home Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Before Mike Tyson got kicked out of the franchise for things he did in the ring and other things like that. So, side note, if you have not ever gotten a chance to play the original Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, try to find some way to do it. It is awesome because it is just a fantastic, crazy, silly game of insanity, and it gets harder and harder to the point of it just absolute craziness when you get to Mike Tyson. So, today I want to talk to you, gotta get the box, about a game that I really enjoy, and 6th, 7th, and 8th stay till the end. Well, 6th and 7th, I apologize. 8th grade, this is just, you could watch if you want. Seven Wonders. It is a board game that is fantastic. The weird thing about the board game is that everything happens simultaneously. Nobody is having just downtime when other people are doing things. You all are taking your turns at the same time. How does that work? Well, quite simply, everybody is handed a hand of cards, and you pick one of those cards that you can purchase or sell, or you can claim your wonder. So we'll explain that here in a second. So it's one of those games that is just fantastic, because when I first saw it, I was taught by someone who was a little younger, but they were very knowledgeable. But it's one of those games that it's a little hard to explain, but it's actually one of the easiest games to play. And once you understand the concepts, stupid easy game, and it's so much fun because of that. Because it's not that it's an easy game to master; it's an easy game to really get going and learn by just playing. So that first game is going to be a little bit obnoxious, but once you understand the concept, it's not bad. So example, in the starting game, you'll get one of a random starting card, and then you'll end up with one of these. And it will tell you different things that you can do. So for example, you build the beginning of the wonder with two, not bricks, but the stone. You get 3 victory points. That's the laurel leaves. If you buy this with the 2 ore or 2 gold, what you get is now one of those 4 resources every turn. So you just have a free resource to buy with. And this one is with the research stuff, the more specific things, and not research in the same sense as you think, because there are research things in this game, but like a different type of commodity that's more refined. You have 2 of those, you can claim this for 7 victory points. And when you get into the game more advanced, you can start playing with the B-sides of stuff. And so the B-sides, like this one, say, hey, you get to start with these 4 options if you can claim it for 2 brick. And over here, you can get one of those 3 commodities all the time, every turn. And over here, if you have 3 stone, you get 7 victory points. And so each of the different factions is a little bit different. And that makes the game kind of unique. But it's also your decisions impact the gameplay. And what's interesting is there are 3 phases to this game. They'll be labeled 1, 2, and 3, just like this Roman numeral wise. And you put as many cards in as there are players. And that's one of the things that's really confusing when you're first setting it up. Once you understand it, not bad at all. But you put in as many cards as you are needed for the amount of people that are playing. And on those cards are several different things. So you've got this one that would just give you a free resource. And, oh, they are upside down. Look at that. Now, so you got free resource of wood, and it costs nothing to claim. Then you've got this one. Let's see what it is. So up here is a cost of 1 money, so you'd actually have to pay money to get this, but then you could either have a brick or an ore. And so it's things like this, but as you go through the game, there's also cards that have victory points, and there's also cards like, let me see if I have it in my hand, perfect. This one that are signify research, and again, it costs a resource of some type up here, and then you get some sort of research that gives you victory points at the end of the game. But also what's interesting is the name of these things are very important, because they lead to, say you get into the second phase, some things will actually be looking for stuff like this, this specific thing. The scriptatorium will lead to, apparently, the courthouse and the library down here. So it's saying, actually, by the way, if you buy this, these things will come up and you can just get these for free because you already have this. Really cool thing. As well as you have gold cards as well that will give you specific things So in this case, you have to trade with other players, which is always a little interesting part of the game. And you have to give them money for their resources, but this lowers that cost, but also gives you access to, again, something else later on. And so this game is all about making decisions. One of the other things that we haven't seen yet is combat. And so you actually don't directly fight as in like lose hit points or something like this, but your people group gets hurt by losing and gaining victory points based on their military force. So as you have military force, you, at the end of every age of the game, you check to see if you're stronger or weaker than people or your neighbors. And so it's a great system of checking for these points. We actually saw the other day that somebody won through military, which is very, very rare. And it's really neat because typically if people leave you alone for certain things, for example, research, the research stuff, the green cards get crazy fast victory points, and they can add up to insane levels of points. And so this game is so much fun because no game is quite the same, because what you have to do is start paying attention to what do I need, but also what are the people around me buying. This person over here is buying lots of research. I should probably stop them from that. And over here, this person is building tons of military, and you have to make a decision of, do I even invest in it and potentially waste cards and stop them? Or do I just ignore it, let them get their victory points and focus in on everything else because they are not focusing on those things? And that's the beauty of the game. And at the very last age, there's also some purple cards that get thrown in that are guilds, and they focus in on certain things. So say for one card goes, for however many victory point tabs that they have for military on your left and your right, you get a victory point. All of a sudden, you being a weak military person adds up real fast. And that's interesting. It's a lot of fun. Things like that. Or a card that will look for certain colors of card that you and your neighbors have, or just you. That kind of stuff makes it so much fun because you can think everything's going well and someone can pass you and you won't necessarily know it until the very end of the game. And that's one of these great games. So I highly recommend Seven Wonders. It is a game of fast-paced fun that doesn't take a long time, that gives you a great experience and changes every time. And I think that's the secret of a great game, that it changes every time you play. Not in the sense that the rules change, but that the interactions that you have with one another change. And so the rules stay the same, and you just interact in a different way with one another because of the decisions that are being made in the game. You know, it goes beyond a dice roll. And that's the thing. Like, this game does not have any dice. And I love dice games because chance is fun. But this is your decisions. This game is totally your decisions. And sometimes you just don't, there's no way that could be possible, that a game that just has no chance, that no randomness, could be entirely this fun. And yet it is, because the randomness that's built into it too, because again, that's a funny thing when you pay attention, there's always randomness in games, is how the cards are shuffled and then given out to you, because that hand will not be your hand. You actually play one card out of that hand and then you have to hand it off to someone else. And so you may see those cards again, or at least part of them, but you may not see the ones that you want. And so your decisions matter. So there's randomness in it, but it's very minor because it's more about your decisions. Now, I say very minor. There are moments wherever you get a hand and you go, this has nothing to do with anything I am doing. This stinks. Like, this is terrible. And that's the decisions that you have to make. And figuring out what you do with those things where you have a terrible situation. Maybe you just use it to build your wonder. And that's where it also comes in of, yes, there's randomness, but also you can still control the randomness because you can get a card and use it for something else. Like, that is beautiful. That is good gameplay. Whoever created this, and I can't even remember. Yeah, it's won a lot of awards too. Repost Production. They did amazing, and it says by Antoine Bauza. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. You have created a game that will stand the test of time and will be fun for hundreds of years. That's the beauty of games, you know. So real quick, 6th grade. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, but I am not going to give you any of the answers at all, like list the things at all. You have to go figure those out. So here they are. A company that established itself in 1670. It's Canada's oldest business. What would that be? All right, we've talked about that in class. You know it if you've paid attention. Now, the next one is this: a war that the French lost and had to give up Quebec in Canada. Which war was that? And lastly, this one: a mountain range on Eastern Europe that goes for 2,000 miles. All right, which one is that? A mountain range on Eastern Europe that goes for 2,000 miles. All right, so 7th grade. Let's ask a little bit about this. Yeah, place Rome used for sports and distract people. Where did they go have a lot of their sports stuff and just to distract the public from maybe things that were not going so well? Also, a big question: what happened in the Colosseum? And specifically, let's be really real with this one. Not just one thing. Like, what were some of the things that happened in the Colosseum? Can you name them? Name all these different things that happened in the Colosseum. And lastly, who was a military general that became one of the first Caesars by crossing the Rubicon? All right. So those are 3 questions, 6th grade and then 7th grade, that you guys can wrestle with. I hope you've enjoyed this and gotten to hear a little bit about a great board game. And I hope someday you get to try Seven Wonders, because it's a historic board game as well, that you're just focusing in on Alexandria and Rome and all these different little places like Egypt, Alexandria, right? But just these different places throughout the years that have had military power or economic might. So anyway, I am Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. I hope you've had a great time here this morning, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.